The action continues here in the iRacing IndyCar Open Series, and showcasing the diversity after back-to-back road course races, we make our way to America's premier short track. Welcome along to Richmond Raceway, and here around the 14 degrees of banking, drivers will have to really make do with high speed but limited grip. Delighted you can welcome along here to on RaceSpotTV, where my name is Arjuna Kankipati. I'm joined alongside by Lorenzo Bonder. Lorenzo, looking forward to this one. It's a bit of a driver's favorite in many ways, and it's a really fun track for the drivers to kick off the first oval in quite a handful of weeks.
Yeah, the last oval we've gone to was actually Auto Club, like back in week 2, which is insane to think about. Actually, rather Texas, I'm going crazy, but it's quite interesting. Going to be the front right's going to be burning. I can't wait to see how the setups are going to be made to cope with that.
Take a look at the points because, well, we're getting into that time when championship storylines, well, really starting to be talked about, but realistically, even though Phil Kraus and Adam Blocker looking very, very close at the front, let's not forget that for Adam Blocker, he will be in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the month of May. Not sure how much we'll get to see him, but we're ready to go racing. Let's not dawdle any longer. Let's take you down trackside, where it is going to be an Apex Racing and Team i5G lockout of the front row. 16.632 the lap times as we get set for 125 laps of racing. And Brandon Traino, the king of the bricks, lines up alongside Hamilton Akabuizi. Christopher Demerit and then Philip Kraus share row 2, with Jacob Oster and Matt Taylor behind on row number 3. Andrew Marquez rolls from 7th. We saw him win here once on an iRacing IndyCar Open Series Monday night. He's alongside Brendan Lichtenberg, with Rashad Craig and Lucas Lodato making up the rest of your top 10. Back to 11 to find Nick Sudik. He's got Jaden Thurlow for company. 13th, and hopefully not unlucky 13th for Olivia Hayward, and Gabriel Krefter is alongside. Olivia Simino and Treston Fortson, 15th and 16th. Andrew Kinsella with some work to do. Didn't really get a valid lap time on the board. He starts 17th with Joe Lafilippe, and then at the very back of the field, Evan Adams. 19 cars, Lorenzo, as we get set to go. What are your expectations? Remember, 125 laps, and these cars can go as far as 100 laps on fuel.
Yeah, and can't wait to see if we're going to probably maybe see another stopper. We've seen that before broadcasting in Richmond. But like I said, front right tires, if you burn them, they're going to be in a world of pain for the long run.
I'll be honest, I don't remember if we're going to get another pace lap or not, but I think because this is a short track, we will get an additional pace lap with which just to breathe and relax a little bit. Lorenzo, 125 laps here, traffic going to be a factor. Different setups going to have different speed as well. Hamilton Akabuizi is doing something weird up front, but how do you think traffic's going to play its part once we get into the race itself?
Quite a lot. I know the traffic has always, been very, responsible. I think this is going to be no different. I think they're going to give way to other drivers. They're not going to make this complicated. But once you catch yourself within dirty air, that's what lies the real problem, right? Because all you want here is clean air.
Clean air is what Brandon Traino will have up front as we get ready to go. Haven't seen him very much on a Monday night. Indeed, last time we saw him, it was really hearing him from up here in the broadcast booth. Instead, he's alongside, though, of Hamilton Akabuizi as we head into the start zone and we get the green flag out here at the Richmond Raceway, America's premier short track, and who will come out on top instantly? Phil Kraus under pressure. Christopher Demerit wants to make it. An i5G 1-2-3. Now he got very, very sideways on the exit of turn number 2. And now watch as the Wormman, Jacob Oster, goes up high, tries to send it on his teammate, and makes his way forward to 4th spot at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, managed to actually just to secure his fourth spot right there. But Kraus trying to go on the charge. But the problem is, you see right in front, there is some dirty air, and you want to burn the tires faster. It goes on the inside.
Side by side, already going to start seeing that separation build on up, and Kraus just rolls his momentum. Remember, it's 14 degrees on the banking, 8 degrees on the front straightaway, 2 degrees on the back stretch. So there's a little bit of load on the banking through every single corner. Once again, Oster goes up high, but really, once again, trying to find some clean air onto the nose. This is the view, though, looking off of your race leader as he punches in the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, not even surprising. You can see Ulster again trying to go on the inside, but I think it's one of those things because it is a short banking, this track of sorts. The high banking actually gives you a better run towards the outside. You can do the overtake on the inside, but you're gonna burn a little bit at the rears when you come out of the corner. So it's a little bit problematic as Andrew Marquez move up one spot.
He gets past Matt Taylor, but bit of teammates on teammate action. Can the hyperstar Brendan Lichtenberg fly his way on forward? He will send it up the inside of Taylor, and not sure if necessarily going to be able to fight that one back. Look off the real shot of Marquez, who, as mentioned, did win here one of the previous times we've come here on a Monday night, but he's already lost about 5 seconds to the race leader up front, as Phil Kraus still under pressure, holding on for the time being. Look at that track map, Lorenzo. Look how already Brandon Traino's half a lap clear of those at the back of the pack.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We kind of expected that to be happening of sorts, right? Very early on, the leader is going to create quite a gap, nearly a half distance. Actually, you can kind of consider this more than half distance if you want to think about it, Arjuna.
Still watching, of course, the fight here, but all this as that traffic battle going to start being rather important. Once we get into the traffic, it's not going to be such clean air for your race leader, and Brandon Traino will at some point have to be thinking about what lies ahead. Let's talk about weather, though, because sometimes, Lorenzo, we come here when it's under the night lights. Instead, we've come here in the middle of the day, but because of the cloud cover, it's only, I say only, 36 degrees track temperature.
Which shocks me a little bit for midday. We might expect to see a little bit of the weather picking it up, depending on the circumstance, if we get some yellow flag runs.
Still, though, as we come around to see the end of lap number 10, having to deal with any caution so far. We jump on board with Brendan Lichtenberg and just ride in towards the opening corner. One of the few ovals, Lorenzo, where not only is there off-throttle time, there's sometimes time on the brake.
Yeah, trying to remember how much actually pressure you put up on the brake. It's like a very small tap. You don't go for, nearly for pressure. It's kind of like 10%. Just let the car roll in, then lift a little bit into the corner. Another thing we haven't talked about, and it's going to be quite interesting, talking about the tires because you want to save them, is also fuel efficiency, because this is one of the tracks you really want to go for the long stretch and kind of overcommit of sorts if you are at the front.
And you never want to undercut here, in my opinion. You go 2 laps down when pitting, and you just put yourself in a really dangerous situation. So it'll be interesting as we get deeper into this race. Once we get to the mark where tires probably going to be the thing that sees the drivers want to come in for pit stops more than fuel. When will that crossover point be? Already we have dropped, 3/10 off of the fastest lap for your race leader, who, Lorenzo, this time by at the line, is starting to see the traffic up ahead.
Yeah, and now the pain is going to start a little bit on Brendan Traino's world. Oh, nearly dabbing into the wall. I'm always thinking, because you run so close to the wall here at Richmond, it's either like you're hitting the wall, or you're basically like missing it by a complete mile, which is the same thing to think about. Now, Traino, let's see how he's going to fare with that.
And he's got a real battle to work his way through as well. We're watching Tristan Fortson and Evan Adams, who works his way up the inside, brings with him Andrew Kinsella, might as well follow through Joe Lafilippe, but all again, just as Brandon Traino continues to just chip away, and this is where he's got some advantage. Remember, 1.7 seconds clear. He'll be able to be a bit patient. But now starting to slice and dice and carve his way on forward. Opportunity open for Olivier Simoneau, to work his way forward to 18th spot, and we're talking about Fortson at one point up in 15th, and now in the blink of an eye down to 19th.
Yeah, just the pain of doing something as yellow flag comes out, first one of the day.
And that is the 16 machine that has, dented both ends of the race car, unfortunately. Slow things down for the first time today, and, he's heading to pit lane, no shadow of a doubt there, just as a couple of cars had ended up going a lap down. So, misfortune for them in terms of the actual timing. They would have wanted it to come a couple of laps earlier. Lorenzo, here's what happened, though, back in the field.
Yeah, that's around turn number 140. It seems you can even see Traino, I think, right behind him, and I think he completely got washed out of the corner. Whoa. Did Traino hit him?
Traino's down on pit lane. That's maybe partially just because of tires, but keep an eye on how long he does end up sitting in pit lane. We'll take one more look at it And we'll also grab a look from Brandon Traino's perspective, because the right front of the wing definitely goes missing for a sec.
Oh yeah, but I think you even see on the live pictures there is some damage. I think on the right wing a little bit. Might have to change that, but Brendan Traino had a lucky escape.
And very lucky, because he's only stationary for 8 seconds. So Christopher Demerit with a bit of a short pit, trying to gain a bit of time. He works his way forward to second. I wonder if there was no tires for him and it was fuel only. Off and away they go. Hypothetically, Lorenzo, you could make it to the end from here if you're feeling brave.
Yeah, I think on a green flag run, you think you might have to go down to what, map number 5, basically for the entirety of the stint, lift and coast a little bit, and maybe you might hit the right number. But we're gonna start with like lap 22 to 23. There's a chance you can go like 100 laps, 100 laps for sure.
Again, it will come down to tires. Lucky break for Brandon Traino up front. As single file restart, we get ready to go. Not this time by, because the lights are still on the pace car, and a couple of cars to be waved around when we come back around to see the start-finish line. Remember, Olivier Simoneau and Tristan Fortson electing not to come down pit lane because they instead want to get their lap back. In terms of movers, though, Lorenzo, haven't really seen anyone charge their way up through the field. I guess not a huge shot, given that passing here at a premium, you really have to set things up.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a luck and also commitment. If you really want to talk about it, I think of all, can we argue that this is probably the hardest track to overtake an IndyCar regular calendar? Because we see this regularly on the calendar, even if it is unfixed. But I think this is probably the hardest track for you to overtake, not because of dirty air, but also because it is a tight oval of sorts. There is not too much making for you to rely upon and get a really good exit to do an overtake.
Yeah, 100%. This is also a track that, while we haven't, come back here in quite a while in the real world, it's one of those tracks that we would love to come to, albeit, remember, 2020 scheduled to come back here, ended up not happening in what was a very affected round of the very affected year, I should say, for everybody. Still waiting as well for the drivers to get their wave around. There they go, finally. So lights will go off on the pace car. We'll get ready to go racing this time by. I think we've already just seen, Lorenzo, that when we do have cautions here, relatively lengthy in terms of their nature, both in terms of time, but also the number of laps that we tick away. We saw the caution on lap number 17.
Yeah, basically gone for more than 4 laps, which is kind of impressive in my books. Let's see how this restart will go, and hoping that we get a major green flag run so the chess can be played.
Remember, if we do get that decent green flag run, Brandon Traino had already broken away from the rest of the field. Now got Christopher Demerit behind, though. Let's crank it up on this restart. Let's listen to the sound of the Indy cars here, America's premier short track.
Oh no, crowds wins.
Chaos on the restart, and it's meant that Phil Krause has dropped down through the field and still trying to hold on. No front end on his car, no front downforce, and look at Nick Sudik not hanging around.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a checkup on the restart. I wonder what happened to Demerit to kind of like check up the field a little bit. You can even see, I think that's Kinsella checking up. That was right in front of Olivia.
Yeah, Kinsella getting held up by Olivia Hayward, but all this is going to mean that already Brandon Traino scampering away. Phil Krause hasn't been able to get down low to even think about coming down onto pit lane. Jacob Oster has been absolutely stuck behind him, and now will slice underneath. Pain for some. Lorenzo, let's take a look up front, though, as Andrew Marquez tries to work his way back on forward, and we'll also take a look at what happened on that restart.
Yeah, Marquez, I think, might have to run over here. Yeah, completely got to run on Lodato, and now I really want to digest what happened on the restart. Look at Demerit.
So as Demerit just goes absolutely nowhere, Oster's front wing comes back into existence. Phil Krause not so lucky. Right on board with the private label Team Hype driver. I mean, I don't know what Demerrit's quite doing there, to be honest.
Same.
One more, this time on board with Demerit himself. He's in 6th gear. Oh, no, oh no. Come on. It's a rookie error for a non-rookie driver.
He's the #1 split car in this split.
Wow. That's
wow.
Uncharacteristic, as Phil Kraus finally able to get down low. He's already come down to pit lane, already being 1 lap down Lorenzo. By the time he gets back out there, at best, he'll be 4 laps adrift.
Even more, I think I might want to split up maybe later one of the laps. I think he has a broken suspension or something like that for the way the car was actually looking.
He only ended up being stationary for 9 seconds, so that wasn't actually too bad. And I think you'll only end up dropping an additional 2 rather than the 3 for the extra damage repair. So might only be 3 laps down. Taylor passes Lucas Lodato with some confidence, although not quite done just yet. We jump on board with Rashad Craig in towards the opening corner.
Really good run, broke away a little bit from the draft. Might set himself up over here, inside for him. I think he might not get this done because of Matt Taylor right in front of him, Arjuna.
Yeah, that dirty air just hitting you like a punch straight to the face, and as soon as Rashad Craig popped out and found himself without the extra downforce that maybe he was relying on, he finds himself getting crossed underneath, although I think he'll hold the outside and just use the extra banking to speed himself around. This all in the fight for now. 7th and 8th position. The race leader, Brandon Trainer, once again breaking away and once again getting ready to start catching traffic.
First guy, I think, looks like to be Oliver Simino right in front of him from what it looks like. So a little bit of a washout. Let's see how Trainer will fare this one. The first time by was actually quite easy for him. Made easy work of traffic.
Yeah, he did not hang around, and I think we'll end up seeing a similar sort of thing right now as just hear the engine down to 4th gear. Oh, and then a little bit sideways, had to straighten the steering and quite aggressive in chopping the nose off and holding on. Back on to this battle as now Lucas Lodato still on the inside, but all as Jacob Oster out of pit lane has dropped into the fight behind them. He is 2 laps down, so is Phil Kraus. Let's take a look at Nick Sudik, Andrew Kinsella, Jaden Thurlow, Gabriel Krefter, Evan Adams. So many cars on top of each other, and these are the drivers about to be put under pressure by your race leader. Yeah,
for nearly a small touch from Thurlow's front wing on Kinsella's back wing, because there was nearly a NASCAR style checkup on turn number 1 right there, but everything just went out just fine. And now there you can see Trainer right there. He's going to catch up to everybody. Laps are going to happen.
So 1 by 1, he will continue to resume passing duties. I wonder, now that we've had that 1 caution, have we already seen drivers start to shift their mindset a little bit more into conservation mode to try and get to the end? We've seen, let's be honest, a couple of different approaches work. As much as I did say earlier that if you try and do an undercut, you go 2 laps down, and it's not something you necessarily want to do. I remember, I think it was Tim Doyle 3 years ago here on a Monday night, pitted a couple of laps down, laps early, caution came out, and then had to fight his way through. Advantage that he had, Lorenzo, was a couple of cautions that cycled him back around. Since that opening caution, we've run relatively clean for 20+ laps.
Yeah, I think because of the grid size, I think helped up a little bit. If I remember when Tim done that, I think the grid was completely full, so it was 26 cars in the split. So it helped up a little bit to trigger more yellow flags as the run went on. So, but that was a weird one and paid off. But the thing is, what cost you really want to do that though?
Yeah, it's definitely not something that you probably want to make a firm focus of by any means. Hamilton and Carbuisi puts the pressure onto Christopher Demerit for second, but hasn't really been looking like he's going to put the pressure on. Remember, Demerit, we believe, no tires in his pit stop. Is he going to start to feel the pain of the wearing Firestone tires sooner rather than later? Lucas Lodato almost up into the wall. Such was his push through the dirty air across the turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, I had to check up a little bit, even lift up the gas again and nearly into the wall. and that just damages the front right, you know, because you're into the rear, you're in the high side, you've been thrown into the wall. You have to go a little bit full lock while also, you know, lifting the car so you avoid the wall. So this time by, better for Lodato. Let's see if he can make the overtake. Doesn't look like it.
Just doesn't have the speed, and as much as you have in-car tools in these Indy cars, front and rear ARB, your weight jacker, it's not a magic button by any stretch of the imagination. Stretching the lead though, it's 3 seconds for Brandon Traynor as we check back in with the Apex Racing team driver. First time in a while again that we've seen him in the car on a Monday night, and he's continuing to stretch that advantage. Next in queue, Andrew Kinsella. We're not even 50 laps into this race, and Brandon Traynor about to lap 10th place in queue.
I'm trying to remember, have you ever seen a race in Richmond where first place lapped everybody in the field?
I don't think so, but if we stay green, Brandon Traynor is very much making an effort to try and stretch his legs, and at this rate, he will put a lap on Matt Taylor, who did a 17.715 last time. Ooh, Traynor was actually a tenth slower, but let's say he gains a couple of tenths every lap or so. Might not be too many more laps. Remember, Lorenzo, our lap times here, 17 seconds. That must be wild in the real world.
It is. It is basically Bristol-esque time lapse, but in NASCARs though. This for Indy cars. As we go back into Rashad Craig and Lodato again. Lodato with a better run on the inside, but like I said, that high line, Arjuna, for Indy cars, I think it is a blessing because you know, dip into the entry of the corner, wash out to the outside, it's impossible for you to catch on as Kraus goes into the wall.
Yeah, remember, Phil Kraus is already 2 laps down. I'm not quite sure what he was thinking about putting himself in a precarious situation, but Jacob Oster now has a bit more comfort as he locks in what will be 17th position. 2 laps down, of course, himself. And Phil Kraus, I think, has left the racetrack and left the race itself. Christopher Demerit, he's up the inside of a bit more traffic. Hamilton Akabuizi trying to follow in that pink, yellow, and not sure what other colors are on that machine, but not having it all easy, that's for sure. Jaden Thurlow gonna now have to watch up the inside as Akabuizi attacks into the opening corner.
Yeah, Thurlow didn't make this easy on Akabuizi to do the overlap. But then again, if there's one thing that doesn't exist over here is blue flags, which for some might be a great thing, for others it's not so great. And all is, you know, the Robin is racing term is basically truly applied to ovals, even though you're actually in Indy cars, you still have to do that.
And you know, these Indy cars effectively on a very specific package here that's a lot more downforce than what we would run at a Auto Club, for example, to give a point of comparison to one of the last ovals that we ran. Texas is also a sort of speedway style package, so it's more akin to a road course, albeit with the ability to only turn left. Wonder what's happening with your race leader. Brandon Traynor, a bit of clean air in front of him, has managed to pass not just Kinsella, but now Nick Sudik as well. Closing on the back of Rashad Craig and Lucas Lodato in their fight for 7th and 8th position. Slowly but surely chipping away as we near the halfway mark of the race.
Yeah, but you can even see the times going up and down like a roller coaster just because Traynor is within that draft effect, right, of other cars. But it's a really good thing that is still happening. As you can see, the last laps done by entirety of the field, only Akabuizi at this time is faster than Traynor.
And the important thing is that our fall off 6 tenths, 7 tenths at the front of the field, not that bad. I wonder what drivers are thinking, though, in terms of at what point is it worth it to come down pit lane. It's 2 laps. Let's say that's effectively 32 seconds time loss for coming down pit lane. How do you make up 32 seconds in 60 laps? Well, got to be quite considerably faster, and at some point we will reach that mark. You don't want to be the first to blink, but all the drivers are just waiting for someone to pull the trigger. There goes Traynor up the inside of Lodato and interrupts this battle momentarily.
Yep, just makes the life of the Ohio-based driver a little bit more, you know, hard for him to get closer to Craig rather. But the one thing they can actually be appreciative here, Arjuna, there is no Georgina to be around for them to hit on the track.
Oh yeah, there's nothing terrifying, that is for sure, to worry about. Also very grateful, I think, in some ways that here we can afford to not throw the caution immediately when something does happen, because just watch here. Oh, big snap out of turn 4 for Tristan Fortson, and as he noses that car into the wall, brings it back down to pit lane on the flatbed, but without bringing out another safety car.
That's good. Barney is on it. That's good to know that he cares about the condition of this race, going green flag all the way.
As your race leader just continues to run steady. It's a battle between the i5G teammates. Nick Sudik now getting put a lap down by these two drivers. He sits in 9th position, of course. Demerit, no tires for him. I'm going to make a bold call, Lorenzo. He may be the first one that decides to come down pit lane from the front.
A Cabuizi?
No, Demerit.
Oh, Demerit. Oh, absolutely. Oh, I actually gotta agree on that one.
Here's a look, though, at Lucas Lodato, who's finally got past Rashad Craig. Momentarily had taken a bit of the front wing with him, but that was just for shock and awe. And now Craig, down to 8th position, has to do some work to try and fight his way back up to the car in front and make that move happen. You can already see, though, Lodato starting to extend the advantage and break away.
Yeah, using the dirty air to, his advantage. But the thing is, Craig's a really good driver. He can actually catch up to Lodato eventually and try to do the overtake on him. The question is how much of an effort does the number 10 want to do to reach Lodato and make that overtake?
They, as well, as we were talking about, do have traffic just continuing to now work past. Although I say continuing, it's just Demerit and Akabuizi. And then it will be quite a wait before anyone else makes their way past, because Brendan Lichtenberg is almost a full 9 seconds back. And I don't think Brandon Traynor is going to end up lapping the entire field, but Lorenzo, him lapping up to 4th position, that could be a very real story. And clearly, story of today is set up. Team i5G, 1, 2, 3, and 4 out on track. It could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if Jacob Oster wasn't involved in the incident on the restart.
Yeah, that would have been, basically a statement coming into the month of May, if you think about it, Arjuna. They know that Indianapolis is coming close. The first race of the Indianapolis, streaks is basically around with the Indy Elite, this Sunday. So they probably know they want to make a statement, and they want to make a statement hard on the IndyCar community.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much that you carry forward, but it's the process of building the setup, finding the speed that all these drivers just continually work on. Matt Taylor passes his teammate in the Madworks Motorsports car. And so Andrew Marquez demoted down to 6th position. He will be the next one to go 1 lap down whenever Brandon Traynor, who is coming out of turn 2 now, ends up making his way around. We have what will be 51 laps to go next time by. One caution on lap 17. And it's been clean and green since then. Lorenzo, Brandon Traynor has looked dominant and untouchable so far today. Yeah,
it's been basically the cream of the crop in this race, which is, for some, is really good that you're seeing Traynor back in action, in the Indy cars. Normally he's not a featured driver in the Monday night splits, but good to see that he's actually back, going in strong, and showcase why he's the king of the bricks for a reason.
Yeah, and keeps busy between his commitments on pit road in the NASCAR Truck Series, but also with his day job, and that's why we don't tend to see him too much on Monday nights. And so again, just a reminder, last time we actually saw him wasn't even on track. It was when he was up here with me in the broadcast booth. Olivia Hayward going to be the next one, being put under pressure though by Demerit and Akabuizi. And look at Demerit just getting almost balked there for a second. Wanted to go around the outside, slices back underneath. Akabuizi not able to take advantage just yet. Between the two of these drivers, it might come down to pit stop and pit lane execution. Not just how short their stop is, Lorenzo, but how good they can be in getting down to pit lane and how good they can be in getting off.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wondering, we still have the Demerit as going in first rather than Akabuizi, so looking forward to see that. I think the first driver to come in, I think that's Evan Adams coming into the pit lane. Is that confirmed? It is.
And so that's an interesting one, given that no one within the top 10 really at this point, outside of the top 5, is on the lead lap. They can afford maybe to go a couple more laps down to try and make that undercut work. That's a very, very long way around for Akabuizi. Maybe slightly assisted, but he makes the move up to second place. And Demerit's tires at this point, 81 laps old.
I think Demerit is basically asking for help and then something right now. I gotta give him props though for maintaining the gap to Brendan Traino, but I think he's due to come to the pit lane anytime now. Otherwise, that tire fall off is gonna be so huge. He's actually gonna be lapped by Traino before he even does his pit stop.
Yeah, I'm maybe a bit surprised in some ways that he hasn't elected to, now that Akabuizi's come through, just dive on in and make something happen. Remember, it's only a 43 lap run. I wonder if they just think that they're going to nurse the tires to the end and they don't feel the need to come down towards pit lane. No real battling going on outside of those that are laps down. Olivia Hayward, Jacob Oster, Olivier Simoneau. 13th, 14th and 15th spot. And Jacob Oster powers around the outside. Yeah, you can tell that i5G machine car on rails even with the damage.
Yeah, Jesus. So they found something on the setup for the short ovals that basically, overpowers them on dirty air, clean air, taking high lines without burning too much of the front right to the car and maybe the rear right as well. Did a really good job on it. I'm quite surprised that Simoneau goes on through.
Yeah, you can make passes. Not sure how confident Olivia Hayward is feeling right now, though 63 laps into the stint. I'm sure the tires must be feeling pretty bad. Remember, though, Simoneau had to get the wave around on our restart, and our only caution of the day, 84 laps without coming down onto pit lane. In about 17 laps time or so, they're going to be starting to run a bit short of fuel, so that will be maybe the question. 3 wide, Brendan Lichtenberg, 4th position. He's passing 2 lap machines. Rashad Craig and Andrew Kinsella fighting amongst themselves, and Kinsella through to 9th spot.
Take a bow. As Lichtenberg's on the inside, he's probably going to be able to overtake both of them. But we know that he's due to get lapped by Traino. It's a matter of when and where he's going to get lapped rather than if he's going to get lapped. As Sturlo comes into the pits.
There's a couple more drivers, I think, maybe at this point realizing, you know what, it's time to pit and maybe try and make use of our fresh tires. Evan Adams last time by did a 17.7, so I think we're also seeing that you do get chocked up in some of this traffic. Necessarily always able to take full advantage of your tires. Here's Brandon Traino though behind what will be Matt Taylor and Andrew Marquez, just passing the MadWorks machines. Now all but the top 4 have been put 1 lap down.
And Traino doesn't look like he cares about teammates or whoever else in the track. Is just going around the cars like it is a proper NASCAR race. Like the leader making sure he uses the field to his advantage. So it's due to see Lichtenberg getting passed by his teammate and the banters at i5G going wild after this race is done.
They'll be very happy with the 1, 2, 3, 4 that they hold right now. And I'm still wondering if they are going to be able to make it on fuel to the end. They should be able to, especially with how much we've seen the pace drop off. But are they going to risk it? Are they going to elect to just come in and cover anything off? At this stage, 33 to go, I would assume that if you haven't come down pit lane, you're going to stay out there. Why would you come down and then only have your fresh tires for so long? I think the answer to that question, Lorenzo, is we've kind of hit a bit of a cliff in terms of the fall off, or a lack of cliff. Traino consistently now in the 17.6s.
It's basically a plateau. It takes someone that is so used with car to actually made this kind of laps, which is insane to think about. I remember when I raced against Adriano Pinheiro once in a league race. He basically was doing like it was night, of course. It was a little bit faster. I think it was on 16s, but he was doing like 16 highs consistently all throughout the run, and I was impressed on how doing that. It takes a certain level of driving and knowing the car for you to do that kind of stuff.
And now not really looking like that car is being pushed too much. It's just being well balanced with its inputs. Remember as well, in-car adjustments, front and rear anti-roll bar, the weight jacker as well to come into play. How much do you need that to help unload and load the car through these corners and get the ride heights just shifted and adjusted to the optimal window, while one i5G machine just dominant at the front, one i5G dominant in its charge back up through the field. Jacob Oster to 11th, and now only 4 seconds back from Rashad Craig. He's going almost a second a lap faster at this point, and Lorenzo, very realistically, Jacob could get back up into the top 10.
Yeah, it's a little bit of, you know, consolation prize for Jacob after what could have been in the checkup of the restart with Phil Krause and Demerit, but I know he's not going to be satisfied with being inside the top 10 potentially, but then again, he's doing a really good job after, you know, going into the pit lane, doing his repairs and coming into the track, and I think if it isn't one of the fastest cars, probably it is the fastest car alongside Treno, if I remember correctly.
Not expecting them to have very different setups, but maybe there is a slight micro adjustment here and there to just get the most comfort. Treno continuing to try and make his way on forward now on cars that already have laps, all laps down. First it was the 13 of Jaden Thurlow. Now Nick Sudik in that number 8 machine who goes 2 laps down to your race leader. And Jaden Thurlow, of course, had come down pit lane, so fresh tires for him alongside Evan Adams and Olivier Simoneau. But we're heading into the final 25 laps. Lorenzo, everyone else surely at this point hoping and banking on being able to make it to the end.
Yeah, just thinking about the fuel numbers and things like that on their fuel calculators like cabs, race labs, whatever they have in hand, see if they're going to make it to the end. But what is amazing is, like I said, this is... I know sometimes we say Richmond is a track that yellow breed yellows, but I'm very impressed to see just one yellow flag throughout the whole run.
And effectively a solo car incident as well. Drivers, even with all of this, you see Brandon Treno getting checked up behind some of this lap traffic that he's trying to fight his way through. Olivier Simoneau just holding down low and not giving Treno, I think, the gap that he was hoping to see. Treno just not pushing it. This is what he has as an advantage, the buffer back to Akabuizi, but he's already lost a full second, still side by side. And reminder, that is not for position. Brandon Treno getting held up just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think is an understatement. He got basically checked up going into turn number 1. And luckily, there was nearly a contact between, I think there was Simoneau and from what it looks like Lodato in there. So fortunately for Treno, that didn't happen. And that could have been deadly for the number 2 driver in the field.
Yeah, Lucas Lodato just being dropped into the clutches of Nick Sudik as we take a look at the 11 car, slightly slow. Sudik going up high, and that very distinctive yellow and pink livery that adorns the number 8 machine. They cross the line. 18 laps left to go. That means only about 5 minutes left of racing. Brandon Treno well clear at the front of the field. Whereas Brendan Lichtenberg, this I think is the only question left to answer in terms of your lead. Does he make his way around to lap everyone bar the podium spots?
Yep. Bold prediction, I think he catches him by the final lap.
The rate of closing has started to trail off though, so maybe Brendan Lichtenberg getting held up a bit with traffic. Remember, when you're the number 1 car in terms of the race leader, you always have a little bit more assistance, people being willing to give you some space, not such a factor the further back in the queue that you go. Nick Sudik, though, so committed to running up high, almost blocking the path of, I think that's Jaden Thurlow behind. It's a rather interesting call. Rashad Craig has decided enough is enough, let me stymie the bleeding, and is down on pit lane.
Yep, absolutely. And Cowboys, I think, got a little bit lucky with Thurlow. There was a side pod contact with him. And that could have gone wrong for Cowboys just in the blink of an eye.
See how high he went, just to now cut back down off the corner. Sudik fighting with Jaden Thurlow. And again, not for position. Nick Sudik really wants to be trying to fight with the car actually in front. He's now being passed by Hamilton Akabuizi, Lucas Lodato. Fight for 7th and 8th position still up on our screen, heading into these final dying moments. Ooh, derby moment there as well for Sudik, almost into the wall. That purple machine behind, if you're wondering, that is one of the MadWorks cars, not for position. And so just going to slide up the inside and slightly help Nick Sudik here.
Yep. Was there a small contact between Thurlow and I think that would look like to be Matt Taylor on the inside, like wing-to-wing contact, but they survived the whole ordeal. Poor Thurlow, though. He has better tires and cannot break away, making overtakes and then breaking away properly from this whole train.
Been a fun one. I enjoy these sort of races. Very difficult on the drivers. Olivia Hayward's up high and staying out of trouble. Gets passed by Jaden Thurlow, who's driving like a bat out of hell since coming out of pit lane with the fresh tires. Sean Craig is now 5 laps down, if you're wondering. It's not necessarily gone the way that the Indy Alliance Racing driver would have wanted. Within 10 to go, though. Now Nick Sudik is finally off the high line and able to run whatever line that he wants, fighting for this position. Lorenzo, he's been stuck up high for so long and now still has to deal with the traffic trying to attack him.
Yeah, that's Matt Taylor right behind him. So how the New York base driver is actually going to collaborate over here? Does he let Matt Taylor go and the chance of overtaking Lodato go away? Because that's the way you got to think, even with time to go, you really want to go up on the spot, try to get a little bit more I-rating. But I wonder also how many cars got called by the crew chief to manage the tires.
They must be close to the point of blowing up at this point, surely. Andrew Kinsella fights with Jacob Oster. It's the British Racing green alongside the much lighter green all as your race leader directly behind them in his quest to put a lap on Brendan Lichtenberg. Jacob Oster going to slice his way on forward. Hyperstar now going to try and find the same line through, but 3 wide on the corner exit. Brandon Traynor not hanging around, and with 5 laps left to go, all but the podium spots sit 1 lap adrift from your race leader.
Shucks, I thought he was actually going to be able to catch up at the final lap, but traffic gives and traffic takes.
It's been remarkable, this drive. A lot of the setup work that went in before got them to where they needed to be in qualifying. And the crazy thing is, Lorenzo, no change inside of 1, 2, and 3 from how they started.
I should be surprised, but I'm not.
3 laps left to go. Remember, they have not pitted now for 103 laps at the front of the field. They have extended the tires, they've extended the fuel as well. And outside of the one solitary pit stop window opened by the timing of the caution, it's been a fast and a furious race since then. Brandon Traynor comes around, gets ready to take the white flag here at America's premier short track. And so 1 more lap to go then for Brandon Traynor. Remember, started up front, will finish up front, and 1 caution could not stop him. He routed through the field, lapped everyone bar his teammates on the podium spot, and on his return to Monday night, Brandon Traynor wins here at the Richmond Raceway. Rest of the drivers will now get to come towards the line. Remember, 1 lap down for many. Lorenzo, I'm sure a race that plenty end drenched in sweat.
Oh yeah, this track is not for the faint of heart. It's fast. It is a little bit taxing on the body because sometimes you're going full lock. You have to be patient, especially on your feet. So as Traynor does donuts on the start finish line, just a really monstrous drive from the Apex Racing team driver and putting everybody in notice, saying, well, Montemaze is around, Daddy's coming home.
Let's take a look at the race results. No livery for Brandon Traynor, no problem. He is victorious and by a dominant margin at the front. Akabuizi, Demera, and Lichtenberg make it a Apex Racing I5G 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then MadWorks 5th and 6th will be very happy. Matt Taylor in front, though, of Andrew Marquez, who might have felt that he could have done a little bit more in the long run. Lucas Lodato in front of Nick Sudik. Jacob Oster fights back to 9th in front of Gabriel Krefter to round out your top 10. And down in 11th, one of the biggest movers of the day, Andrew Kinsella, 6 positions gained up to his finishing spot. Jaden Thurlow, 12th, and Evan Adams, 13th, with Rashad Craig, Olivier Simoneau, and then Olivia Hayward finishing the race, unlike, unfortunately, Tristan Fortson, Philip Kraus, and Joe Lafilippe. So a look top to bottom at your race results, and I can tell you that Brandon Treno hasn't finished his celebrations, and he's celebrating so hard, Lorenzo, he's broken that car.
He's lucky that he's not in real life and have to contend with a very expensive wing.
Yeah. Although, you know, all I'll say is that could definitely be put up on my mantelpiece, so I would not say no to some more body parts as Brandon Treno burns it down, and looking forward to catching up with him in a few moments' time as well as he sits there and celebrates. Next time, we're back road course racing, and we're heading to the racing capital of the world, to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There's not many more special tracks than this, Lorenzo. I mean, of course, a couple of builds ago, we got the new updated road course layout of the track. It's controversial whether you like it or not. What it does produce is some interesting racing.
It does, especially for how setup is actually going to go, because the last time by, you probably want to, sometimes go with low downforce to contend with the speed on the straight. I see sometimes high downforce to contend with the corners. Looking forward to how this one will go precisely, but this should be providing an intensity race. I might actually do this one.
See how it is indeed when we head to start the month of May, of course, kick off the festivities, and that weekend the Indy Grand Prix will get underway as well. Looking forward to it, and of course you'll have full-length races available to you if you are willing to do so. We had plenty of drivers take on the challenge of a quite brutal, lengthy race at the Barber Motorsports Park a week ago. Of course, the week before that, Streets of Long Beach. Always great to see those options available to drivers to find, well, the racing effectively that they want. Let's go down, though, and have a chat with our race winner. First time back on a Monday night in quite a while, and Brandon Treno delivers and comes out on top. Brandon, talk us through that one. Pole position, the victory. Seems like you guys at Team i5G showed up with a rocket ship.
Yeah, you could say that. We had a really good setup from a league racer ran here. Jacob and I have seemed to have found something that really works on these short ovals. So yeah, it was really fun. A lot of other people didn't look like they were having a lot of fun. But we were just kind of vibing, map 5, saving fuel, trying to get to the end. And yeah, what did we finish? 1, 2, 3, 4?
And it could have been maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if Jacob hadn't had his issues. Talk to me, though, about the one caution that we had on our screens. Your front wing went missing for a couple of moments. How scared were you when that caution came out?
Yeah, I was pretty sure I was dead. I couldn't turn left enough, or even quick enough, to avoid them. Thankfully, the internet gods helped put my wing back on. But yeah, I thought the race was over there, but thankfully it wasn't. Didn't have any damage, so yeah, just resumed the lead and went on from there.
Were you surprised with just one caution?
Not really. I thought there would be another one somewhere in the middle of that long stint we had, just from somebody spinning off a turn 2. But it didn't seem to happen. Everybody just seemed to be really, really tight. So no real snaps off of turn 2. So really played into our favor because I think we have a really, really good long run car. Not so much to start, but for sure long run pace is really good with this car.
So I was kind of wondering, interested where you guys were thinking long versus short run pace. Congratulations on the win, Brandon. Great to have you back on Monday night and on track rather than in the commentary booth where you were delightful, don't get me wrong. But great to see you win. And hopefully, I think we might see you in 7 days' time when we head back to the Speedway to kick off the month of May.
Yeah, thanks, Regina. And hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad, indeed, for Brandon Treno. Let's head on down to the second step of the podium, though, where Hamilton Carboeasy joins us now. Hamilton made a bold pass to make your way around Christopher Demerit, but talk us through the race itself, the traffic management. How much fun was that for you guys? Brandon Treno said you were all vibing.
Oh yeah, we were having a good time during the race for sure. Just kind of felt like I saved more than Chris early on, so I was able to push a lot earlier. Pushed it way too hard. And then sorry, they are talking a lot. Yeah, just pushed it way too hard. Treno was flying for sure. So, yeah, good win to him. But definitely we had fun. Restart was chaos. Chris, old man reaction times, but it worked out.
Did he tell you it
For
was
some
old
of
man
us.
reaction times, Hamilton?
He didn't say that, but I said that.
Okay,
you know?
I
He
regret.
was sleeping a bit.
Yeah, I regret to tell you he was in 6th gear on that restart and had to very quickly try and shift his way down to 1st. That was actually what happened, not old man reaction times, just so you're clear.
That explains it. Yeah.
Next up, we head to the Indy Road Course, and of course for you, Hamilton, your first month of May as part of Team i5G. How are you feeling going into, let's be honest, what is the biggest month of the year?
I'm feeling all right. Still got a lot of work to do, like for IndyQ laps for sure. So just gotta keep working on that. I might be there next week. We'll see what happens. Yeah, have been having too much fun playing Helldivers too to barely even show up for this race. So.
Sounds like someone's going to have to get your Steam account back banned or something. Congratulations, Hamilton, on 2nd, and hopefully we can rip you away from Helldivers in a week's time.
Thank you.
We will wrap things up with one more interview, and old man reaction times is what Hamilton Akabuisi said, but Chris Demerit, how did you manage to restart the race in 6th gear? That is very, very silly.
Skill issue? Yeah, we even called out, like, you know, check the fuel map in gear. I looked down, making sure I was in the right fuel map, and forgot about 6th gear. So that was pretty dumb and killed Jacob and Phil in the process. So yeah, not a good moment to be on broadcast.
It happens though. I've got to ask, did you not take tires in that pit stop, and did you manage to make the Firestones last 125 laps?
Yes, I did.
How much are you left with at the end?
Oh, what happened? All right, it was like 31.55 or 28 right front or something. I don't remember.
So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. No, I could feel the right front like dying in the last like 15 laps, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's an interesting call. It was one that we were wondering about, and I'm glad to hear that at least you did suffer a little bit, at least for the call. Would you go back in hindsight and do that again, though? That's something that I would ask, because we were kind of wondering, was it worth the gamble?
I think absolutely. Yeah. Well, okay. If I didn't mess up the restart, it would have been different, because we'd have Phil and Jacob actually been able to race, but track position is so important here that if you can hold onto that position at the beginning of the run, usually you can just keep it throughout the rest. And I was, what, like 4th or 5th before the restart?
Yes.
So I was pretty sure it was going to work out. Fun fact, it isn't... Alright, you're definitely going to be slower doing it, but you can definitely one-stop the entire race if it goes green.
You mean no stop?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
No stop the entire race if it goes green. But you'll have to go pretty slow to do it. But if it goes green, you'll probably win. So.
Wow. Crazy. Thanks for giving us that tidbit, Chris. And what a way for us to wrap up our post-race interviews. Congrats on a great day for Team i5G, and hopefully we see you at the Indy Road Course in a week's time.
Yeah, see you. Thanks, Arjuna.
Those are the type of tidbits, Lorenzo, that I genuinely wish that we got more of. You can no-stop this race, and it might be faster. I can guarantee you, though, over the rest of the 12-round season, yeah, that's definitely not the case.
No, absolutely. I'm really interested to see if anybody's going to try to do the same strategy, whether it's going to be on tomorrow's split. And I'm really wondering if that's going to happen. And props to Hamilton to be so honest. He's deploying democracy, and I know he's got to have a back bend so he can actually come next week. But he's doing his part. I salute him.
I'm just saying that was not an idle threat. If we need to get Hamilton away, I'm sure we can find a way, but that's all left to come. And of course, it's as we head into what is the best month of the year, both here in the virtual world, but also in the real world. All roads lead to the racing capital of the world, and that's where we'll join you from in a week's time, getting ready to go on the Grand Prix layout of the best road course, or best track in the world. Can't wait for that. But for the team behind the scenes here at RaceSpotTV, for Lorenzo Bondo, joining myself, Arjuna Kankipati, thanks so much for your company. We'll see you next week. So long for now.